As you can see, welcome back to this old boat. We've attached the foredeck, put a coat of gloss on, a little epoxy to sort of seal the color in and look dynamite. We're going to leave the decks clear, incidentally. We've gone to some painstaking detail to attach the deck with silicone bronze nails. In fact, we've made a little template to put the nails in exactly in a grid pattern, every 3 inches, port to starboard, fore and aft, just like those fancy motorboats you see in Wooden Boat magazine. We've attached bulkhead number 3, and we're getting ready to pattern and attach bulkhead number 4. So the question is, how does one replace a rotted out bulkhead? Luckily, in this particular boat, the cleats for the bulkhead were still in place, so we know what the bulkhead was. Next, we've taken some old wooden paneling, much like this right here, and cut them into usable lengths. We got some sheetrock screws and some hot glue, and we made a pattern outlining the edge of where the bulkhead should be. So why would someone even need to replace a bulkhead? This is an actual piece of the bulkhead on this boat, and as you can see, it's got some pretty serious rot and finish work problems. In fact, if you look at the plans closely, they suggest that you add a piece at the top half of the bulkhead here, and we chose to do this a different way. So how do you replace a bulkhead? Well, you take some wood paneling, just like this, and you cut it down to usable pieces. Then you follow the contours of the hull. In this case, we've got the cleats still in place from the original construction. We tore out the old bulkhead, put these pieces of paneling in the edge of the boat to precisely fit the contour, and gave it supporting bracework, supported with sheetrocking screws and hot glue to give the exact pattern that we wanted to recreate. Now, pattern making is a very important part of this process because sometimes the builder of the boat didn't follow the plans exactly. So if you follow the plan to replace the bulkhead, sometimes you find yourself too long or too short or a little bit different. So we took exact contours with a pattern. And here's another view of how we copied the exact pattern against the hull. Once we've done this part, then we take the pattern out, lay it on a piece of plywood, do an exact tracing, cut it out, we should have a fit. I'd like to point out that we've chosen to do a butt joint low in the boat instead of the plans asking for the butt joint up a little higher. The reason for it is we didn't want to have a joint show, real simple. So we're doing a 1-inch lap here and on the top piece going in, and we've been low in the boat where nobody will see it. There you have it, one more trick. Okay, we pulled the template out, we put it on a piece of plywood, traced around it, cut it out, coated it with glue, and we dry fit it. Take a look. Pretty cool, huh? Let's take a look at some details. Look over here on the port side. We've actually traced in between the longitudinals a place for this bulkhead to notch into so there wouldn't be any wind, rain, any hole from the inside to the outside. As you come down, we cut the angle of the longitudinal, and you can see the lap joint right here between the lower and upper halves of this bulkhead. What you see here, these rough hole cuts are where the quarter bursts are going to be to the outside. And of course, we have the storage area, which is a permanent part of the design of the boat right here, bulkhead number 4 with the cockpit. Reachable. And again, quarter berth area is going to be cut out here. But it's a pretty good fit. This marine mahogany is beautiful to look at. We'll varnish it soon.
Well, Harry, how are you going to get in the cabin?
Well, via airplane. So how does one cut and fit deck beam ends? First of all, get a combination square and a pencil. Very simple. Make sure the boat's level. The boat is at the shear is slightly turned in and has a slight bow to it. So those lines are easily transferable once you understand the trick that Marvin figured out. Take a piece of wood that's longer than the boat. you transfer two lines to the beam. The one at the corner down here where the shear is, and one at the top. Point A and point B to be transferred to the corresponding spots on the beam. Take a level, put the corner of the level right in there. Make sure the bubble is level under combination square, draw a line. Next, make an angle up against this shear clamp. Point B. So it's a point B connection here and point A connection there. Do the same thing on the other side. Put it in the corner, find it level, make a line, angle it back, point B, make a line, connect the lines. Next, we'll move our angle over. The B angle here, over equally until it intersects with the corner of A down here. There we go. The same thing on this side. And connect the dots again. That's our angle. Then take a Japanese saw and hand cut the contour to fit.
Or you could use a American saw, one of those back saws they use for mitering.
Or a miter saw, or a band saw. Come take a look at the angles here.
Yeah. How about those trained termites I used before, Harry?
Can you get them to eat in a straight line? Do they termite food?
Well, you know, the trick is you put a female termite on the other side and they just beeline right to it.
Boo! Boo! May 6, 2004. As you can see, we're still working on the lazarette. Here we finished cutting the deck beams, and in fact we framed the whole lazarette area. And we've pre-fit everything, and now we're in the process of gluing and screwing the whole assembly together. Here we're mixing some Rot Doctor all-wood epoxy. And we're getting ready to put this corner block in for a cleat support. And being a good little epoxy applicator, we're buttering all sides to get a good stick. Okay, here we are. We've got all the necessary size buttered for this particular application. I'm going to hold it in place here, and we're going to screw this puppy down using silicone bronze screws. Marvin's gotten pretty good at screwing lately.
Yeah, this is my girlfriend here.
My wife calls it the mistress. She said this is the only mistress I'm allowed to have. It's a mistress Marvin and I share. Normally those would be dirty words, but this seems to work out okay for all parties concerned. There we go, glued and screwed. Well, it's permanent now.
You heard it from Harry.
The boat's glued and screwed, Marvin. Okay, we're going to take this lovely piece of Alaska yellow cedar and we're going to snap it right into this mortise joint here, right into its pre-fitted tab, and then slide it into place. Butter both sides, slice down nice and tight. The glue's got the appropriate amount of squishing out here, and we're going to screw it in place next.
Say, if I'm here, Harry, who's running camera?
It's not a screw job, Marv.
Oh, did you put glue in here?
Yep, sure did. Here we are. We just put the aft deck beam in, port to starboard. We glued it to the cleat backing block here. And next we're going to frame the hatch by using an additional deck support in this area here like this. That's our next project. Of course, this is the hatch right here.
Did you ever think you'd see the day, Harry?
Okay. Here we are putting the starboard deck beam and hatch support in place. We had make a sawdust epoxy filler to help glue as well as fill slightly. Okay, the outside's in.
Sounds like that battery's dying.
And the forward side's done. Good luck, Marv. That's good work. Okay, here we are putting the final touches on our epoxy job.
You know what this is, Harry? Do you realize what this is?
Yeah, this is the final step of the deck.
This is the last deck beam.
Don't you
The
love
last deck beam.
it? Well,
How does it feel?
well, it feels good to me. It probably feels better to you since you've been the eternal player. Don't forget to butter both sides. Pretty critical to get a good glue joint. Can't be very tight with epoxy because it has a tendency to go dry on you and it won't adhere very well if that's the case. So a little bit of a gap's good. Still do it.
Toss this one. It's a half script, or should I just try it?
Just go for it. It'll be permanent anyway. Beautiful.
Hey Harry, I thought you had that last beam screwed in.
Now wait a minute. This makes me look guilty of something. Oh well. Boat building for dummies. What happened was we so oftentimes when you build a grid framework like this, there's a sequence for assembling and disassembling. We sort of I guess painted ourselves into a corner with a door on the other side. So we had to undo the beam to finish working up here in this corner. What we've got to do is put a backing block for a cleat in here as well, and require the removal of this to make room for the drill. Anyway, we're on it. We got it. Improvisation, Marv. I always say. If you can't plan by crisis, there's no planning at all. Welcome back to This Old Boat. I'd like to show you a piece of engineering that Marvin did. The through hull plug for the engine well, he actually put on some rails and has a real slick little system he developed for sliding the door up in place and in the reverse having it slide back down and yet seal. Take a look. Here we go. This door's up nice and neat up along the port side and very easily drops right back down and seals. That is a beautiful trick little plug. We need to do some sealing around, of course, but the concept works terrific. A lot of months of engineering. A lot of months, right, Marvin?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of MICKEY engineering. Yeah, right.
And with a lot of any good engineering comes a lot of trial and error. And here we have some examples of some of the trials and errors before we got pure perfection.
Now, folks, these are the ones that didn't work. So as you can see, it's not about getting it right. It's just being persistent and keeping at it until you find a solution.
And sometimes it's about being right, but being very frustrated, isn't it, Marvin?
Well, I just wanted to salvage the tube that was in there.
Anyway, thank you very much. And next, we're going to go downstairs and select some plywood and finish off this beautiful lazarette that we just finished pairing this morning as well.